ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
It is Thursday, May 2nd. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. We're going to open up the text line this hour, 304-396-TALK. That's 304-396-8255. I got something special for you today. I got a 6-pack of tickets to go see. Are you ready for this? Redneck Brawl 6. It's going to be at the Marshall Health Arena. 6-pack of tickets. Now, I don't know how I'm giving them away just yet. I was trying to figure this out. What could I do? What could I do to give you the opportunity? I mean, anybody could just text it. I mean, by the way, the text line again, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Anybody could just text in. I don't know. Be entertaining with it. I was kind of figuring out, okay, how do you talk about redneck fighting? Are there famous redneck fights? Is there a redneck fighting league that I don't know about? We'll figure that out. But I'm going to give you a chance to win those tickets. Is there a redneck fight you would like to see? I'm curious. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Going to be our text line to join us today. By the way, happy transfer portal is closed day for those of you who celebrate. So the transfer portal finally closed, right? We're done. We don't have to worry about this for a while. Well, yes and no. And we'll get into this more. But the portal's closed. But what does that really mean? You're going to hear and see for the next few days players announcing that they're in the portal. You're going to see players announcing that they've signed with different places. It's not just because the portal is closed that all of this is done. Teams can go out and recruit and still find players. It's just that now players cannot enter into the portal. That's the thing. They can't enter into the portal now. If they got their entry in, or at least they initiated that conversation that they were going to enter the portal, if they didn't get it done by the end of yesterday, they're out. And now what's going to happen is there is a 48-hour window for submissions. So you initiate that conversation. You can have that conversation at 11:50 last night and go, hey, coach, I think I'm transferring. Okay. So now coach has got to get the paperwork, get everything. Whoever you talk to, you have a window. You got to get that stuff in. But that doesn't mean the portal is closed. It just means no new submissions anytime soon. So we're going to get into that with you. And, of course, some new hires. We haven't had a show in a couple of days. We had baseball yesterday, so there were a couple of hires at Marshall University. The recruiting portal, as I mentioned, it's still going on. Coach Julie Folks trying to get her team ready. Some good news on that front. We'll get into all of that. Baseball, none today. The Pirates are off today. They open up a home series against the Rockies tomorrow. Lost to the A's yesterday 4-0. Reds are also off today, and they open up a home series with the Orioles on Friday night. Padres took care of business there 6-2. Guardians did get the win over the Astros 3-2. The final game of the series tonight, 8-10 in Houston. And Charleston got a victory in the Atlantic League over High Point yesterday, 12-5. Final game of the series tonight in High Point. Dirty Birds are going to be home this weekend taking on Gastonia. And, of course, college baseball, and we're going to get into this as well. College baseball action yesterday. Eastern Kentucky getting the win over Marshall 2-1. Marshall now in action in Sunbelt play starting Friday, taking on and playing host to Georgia State. That's going to start 6 o'clock Jack Cook Field. Saturday's game will be broadcast on our sister stations. Actually, Saturday's game will be broadcast right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. And, of course, softball's in action. Softball opening up its final regular season series tonight, 7 o'clock at Texas State. So we're getting close to the end for a lot of these sports. For softball, baseball, we're getting close to the end of the regular season. Of course, after Marshall baseball is over, we'll have Cole Cats baseball taking up residency at Jack Cook Field. I know a lot of you are excited about that and the opportunity to go watch some minor league baseball, or at least this version of minor league baseball. I mean, it's still minor league baseball to me, but it's more along the lines of it's upward moving. It's not baseball where players have played trying to get on with the major league team, and maybe they played and they're now on their way down, or they're no longer with a major league affiliated team, or they're not in the minor league system anymore, so they're trying to work their way back in. You know, this is going to be college kids looking to advance their careers. It should be fun. We'll have a couple of solid months of baseball after the Marshall baseball season, so it'll be a different look at Jack Cook Field. But going back to baseball yesterday, EKU sweeping the series with the Thundering Herd in one of these midweek series. Hasn't been good for the Thundering Herd. Marshall losing the EKU, and then earlier, Marshall losing the series against Morehead State. It's going to get better for the Thundering Herd, right? That's where we're at right now. You've got the stadium, you've got the tools and facility. Now you can start recruiting to this, right? Did you expect it to turn around overnight? I mean, you had the promise of a stadium to recruit to. Now you actually have the stadium. And so what's that going to do for the Thundering Herd in the next few years? Very competitive league, the Sun Belt. This is a tough league. You should be able to attract some better prospects in your system, knowing the quality of baseball that's being played in the Sun Belt. So where are we at with Marshall baseball right now? Is this right where you thought they would be? You kind of expected. The excitement is more around the fact that Marshall now has a baseball park and you can go out and see the team and support the team, and hopefully that the growing pains will lessen as the seasons progress. Still, though, does it sting a little bit? You lose to EKU. You lose to Morehead State. You lose to EKU. I know Herd fans kind of look at those programs as maybe not being on the same level as the Thundering Herd overall athletically, and yet those programs were able to have some recent success against the Herds. So is this ground zero? It only gets better as far as the rebuild is concerned, or is this Thundering Herd team, is it going to be a little bit longer before we really see the true potential of this team? And again, you got the facility to recruit to now. That's a good thing. And you need depth now. I think you can compete with teams if you had better depth. I think that's going to have to be built over the next couple of seasons. And with the transfer portal, I don't think it's instantaneous. And I don't even think it's instantaneous in football, but it's going to be a project for sure to build this team from playing Route 2 to playing now in a Division I caliber baseball park and competing in a very tough league. So I want to get your thoughts on that. We'll get you an opportunity to get these tickets. Redneck Brawl 6. What do you look forward to seeing? That's probably what we're going to ask you today. What are you looking forward to seeing? What is fun about a Redneck Brawl? What do you look forward to? When you go as a spectator, what's the attraction to go watch a Redneck Brawl? Text lines 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Thanks for tuning in to today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Giovanni's Pizza. Fresh, hot, and tasty. Have it delivered right to your door. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Thornhill Auto Group, your total automotive dealer offering Buick, Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Ford, GM, Jeep, Lincoln, Mitsubishi, and Ram product lines. Community Trust Bank, located beside Pullman Square on 3rd Avenue. Pollock's Jewelers, providing professional service with a personal touch. Visit Pollock's Jewelers at 913 Winchester Avenue in Ashland.
Deep in the mines of the coal fields came a wonderful sound, the sound of a cat living in a mine. The Coal Cats sees light. The Tri-State Coal Cats have arrived. Baseball is back in the Tri-State. Tickets are now on sale. Group tickets as low as $5. Get info now at herdzone.com and use the promo code COLCATS. Plan now for a summer of fun with the Tri-State Coal Cats. Coming to the brand new Jack Cook Field in Huntington. Get your group together now and enjoy the game. Season tickets are now available. The Tri-State Coal Cats.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude,
How's the temperature?
it's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's the number to be a part of today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We'll start lining your text up. We got a busy weekend ahead. Softball on the road, the baseball team in action this weekend. We've got the game coming up for you on Saturday right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We've also got Redneck Brawl coming up. That's going to be at the Mountain Health, now Marshall Health. Now I got to get the translation to new name in my head. Marshall Health. Used to be the Civic Center, for those of you old school like me. What do you look forward to most when you go to a redneck brawl, like a tough man? That's what it is. It's basically tough man. What are you most excited about? The lack of skill, just the fist flaying, floating in the air, swinging in the air, hoping you hit something? What do you look forward to most? We'll give you a chance to win those tickets. Best response wins 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. 6-pack of tickets so you can take you and your friends to Redneck Brawl 6. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about all the redneck fighting coming up in Huntington. So the window is closed, transfer portal. Opened up on April 16th and closed yesterday. So there's now a 48-hour window for submissions. And what this really does mean, though, I mean, football players are using it. Basketball, you get a lot of other athletes that maybe get into this mix, but usually we're going to hear more about football and basketball players in the transfer portal. And so it's over. We don't have to worry about it right now, right? Well, we don't know. We don't know just yet. There'll still be some names floating out there that we probably haven't heard yet, because with the deadline, what that really means is just you don't get your name in before May 1st, you don't get it in. And so players had to make their intentions known. Hey, I'm going in the transfer portal. And so there's that 48-hour window to get that paperwork, everything put into the window. It's sort of a grace period. And after that, then we're done. Right? We're finally done. And we're done only with players going in at this moment. But it's not closed. It's just submissions are closed. Now, we're still going to find out where players are going to go. Because players that are already in the portal, they're going to remain open to recruitment. So we're closing the portal for new entrants. The recruiting continues. So you might see some names come out soon that are either leaving Marshall or coming to Marshall. Goes both ways. So we don't know the final tally just yet with everything. Do you think the NCAA needs to rethink the portal? Does there need to be a reorganization of when you can go in the portal and what length of time that the portal stays open? Should you be able to go into the portal after spring ball? Should you be able to go into the portal before spring ball? Should there just be limited periods? And the reason I ask that is because over the last few weeks, I've kind of noticed a trend that a lot of people don't think spring ball matters. Spring doesn't really matter because you go out and you try to get excited for your favorite football team. You get excited for the Thundering Herd. You want to see Marshall football. You get to go to the spring game. You get a chance to tailgate, do all of that. And you look at the roster. Okay, cool. We're going to have a really good competition at quarterback, or the offensive line is going to look better. Defense is going to be really good. There's a standout that I wasn't expecting to have a great performance, and then spring game's over, and players start leaving. And as soon as you figured out who might be good, who you might be excited for, they're gone. Some players not even staying the year. Should there be a concerted effort, and I don't know how you can do this because you've opened the door for the transfer portal, and you've opened it pretty wide. Does there need to be a little bit more restriction or a little bit more of a... You can't penalize anyone because players are going to be instantly eligible. There's none of that anymore. That's gone. That's going by the wayside. Because some schools had to initiate conversations that, well, there shouldn't be restrictions, and now we don't have restrictions anymore. You can transfer, and then you're ready to go next place. Now, of course, you still have to enroll. But should the transfer portal be tied into academic performance? Should the transfer portal be tied into that type of metric? Can you tie the transfer portal into that type of metric? You got to be academically eligible, but how do you become eligible when you're here and then you're gone, and you've got to make sure that your credits transfer? And that's going to be the big game that's going to be played here in the next few years and months and weeks. How do you get it all to transfer if you're going to school with the intention to graduate? If you're going to school. Now, if you're playing the game where you're trying to get yourself in the best position and then you're leaving school early so you can enter into the NFL draft, this might not be the conversation for you, but if you're trying to actually play and at the same time graduate, at what point will transfer credits make it a little harder, maybe make the situation a little murky. Credit you have here might not transfer there. And so, is that even being considered? Is the academic portion of this even being considered? Now, if you want to talk about what the transfer portal means, it means that student athletes who don't like their situation or whatever their situation may be can leave, and there's not going to be a penalty for them. And that's fine. And then we open it up with name, image, and likeness, and now we're getting to the point where there's going to be a strong push to maybe declare these student athletes actually employees. I don't know how that works at private institutions, but for public institutions, they're going to be state employees. They're going to have to be state employees. They're hired to play football. And then does that set up limits? Do you have limits now? You don't want to restrict someone's ability to make money, but what if you had limits? This is what you can spend. You can't go over this. I mean, do we want to have a salary cap in college athletics? I don't think that's going to happen, but I'll float it. Maybe there should be some restriction here, because at what point will it just be here's cash, come play? I mean, that sounds like a job to me. Here's cash, come play. I'm going to give you this amount of money, and you're going to come here and then do this. And then the other question is, will there be incentives? Hey, if you do this well, it goes up. If you don't do so well, we could drop you. Keep that in mind. What if you open up the purse strings a little bit and you pay someone, or the NIL money, let's say it properly. You get NIL money and those opportunities. I mean, can you drop someone? Like, look, we're not going to keep you. You didn't perform well. We don't think you're going to be a fit. Isn't that sort of what we're doing now here with the transfer portal? To a degree. Look, hey, I don't think it's going to work out for you here. Here's your options. You can stay. You're not going to see the field, or you might want to put yourself out there and look for a different option where you might be able to play. Or, I don't have any money for you here. You might want to go somewhere where you can get money to go to school. That seems to be a couple of the thoughts that are coming out from all of this. What is the limit? When do we say, okay, this has gotten out of hand? Or do we just have to adapt to the new reality and the new freedom that players have? And gone are the days of a guy like Owen Porter, for the most part, sticking around his entire career, wants to play at Marshall, wants to be a member of the Marshall Thundering Herd, wants to graduate at Marshall. How many of those guys are going to be looked at as the exception instead of the rule? Text lines 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Don't forget, I've got a 6-pack of tickets. It's Redneck Brawl. You know what the description was when I looked it up today, just to make sure I had all the talking points? The description is, Redneck Brawl is the most exciting off-the-street redneck fighting event on the planet. Redneck amateur fighters, most stepping into the ring for the first time, swinging wild punches and slugging it out in fast-paced 3 one-minute round fights using 16-ounce gloves and no headgear. I've got tickets to this thing coming up. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 AM 930.
A college degree is more affordable than you think. With over 50 degree and certificate programs, Mount West Community and Technical College will help you start your new career. Mount West Community and Technical College is at the top ranking of community colleges with the least debt for graduating students. Small class sizes, affordable tuition. Find the right career path for you. Visit mctc.edu to learn more. Mount West Community and Technical College. Go far, close to home.
Save big money on your next project now at Menards. Protect your cars, trucks, and more with Shelter Logic carports. A 10 by 20 auto shelter is made with UV-treated fabric that withstands the elements. Plus, its heavy-duty steel frame is stable and durable. Hurry in, it's on sale through May 5th. Save big money on Shelter Logic products and check out more great deals happening now in our weekly flyer on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
Imagine having all the money you need for retirement, all the income, every month, guaranteed. That's Secure Future Investor, an indexed annuity tied to growth in the stock market, but without any risk of loss ever. It's guaranteed money for life income, no matter how long you live. Call 888-509-2228. 888-509-2228. Sponsored by GP Agency Inc., Raleigh, North Carolina. Licensed in all states. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial professional before making an investment decision.
America Strong. It's what we're all about. And to keep America strong, all Glockner locations are offering our lowest live market prices so you save big. And with our partnership with Kelley Blue Book, the Glockner buying centers are able to offer $2,000 above current market value for your current vehicle. That's how we're keeping America strong at the Glockner family of dealerships.
We make it easy at Glockner.com.
The more vulnerable among us can fall victim to abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. When navigating your way out, it doesn't have to feel like a maze. Assistance is available from Adult Protective Services. To report neglect or abuse, call 800-352-6513. Sponsored by the Administration for Community Living, West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources Bureau for Social Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station.
This project was supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $383,493, with 75% funded by ACL HHS and 25% in the amount of $85,236 funded by state government sources. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our number to be a part of today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Still giving you a chance to win tickets to go see Redneck Raw 6. It's coming up at the Marshall Health Network Arena. It's redneck fighting. Who doesn't want to go see that? Our text line is open for those, 304-396-TALK. Some transfer portal notes, a couple of notes to pass along to you. Marshall defensive end Jason Harris entering the portal. So he was in from Arizona. Now he's out. Transfer portal's been a pretty busy place for the Thundering Herd as of late. Also, Marshall offensive lineman Lloyd Willis, he's in the transfer portal now. So some busy times. He transferred in from Florida State, re-entered the transfer portal. He did get 12 games in during his one season with the Herd. So That's the thing I tell you about this transfer portal. You don't know who's going to be your favorite player because here today, gone tomorrow. I think that's really going to hurt. It's going to hurt smaller schools. It's going to hurt the Marshalls of the world more so. At Alabama, it's just win. Get the very best players, just go win. Same thing with Georgia, same thing with several of the power schools, Michigan, just go win. And a lot of those players, they're sticking around for the most part if they're the best of the best. Some of the other programs, there'll still be a little transition, a little turnover, but it's not who you lose, it's who you get when you consider some of those programs. And then you got a school like Marshall, player comes in looking for a fresh opportunity, shows themselves to be pretty good, takes advantage of the opportunity, then a bigger opportunity comes along, and then they go in the transfer portal. I mean, the same thing can be said, though. You're going to get a player to come back in. So it comes down to recruiting. Facilities are going to be close to the same everywhere you go. Remember when that used to be the big escalation, facilities? Well, we got to have this to compete. We got to have this type of facility. Baseball needed a baseball park, so needed facilities. Now everyone's getting nice baseball parks. Football stadiums, if you're not upgrading constantly, you're falling behind. If you're staying the same, you're falling behind. So you expect upgrades. You need upgrades. There needs to constantly be new things to upgrade your stadium, upgrade your facilities. I mean, did you see the facility renderings? I saw some of the drawings today. I reposted on X. I'm getting used to that. Southern Miss, have you seen some of the renderings? Scott Watkins posted this one. And this is $35 million renovation to Reed Green Coliseum. And it looks really nice. It looks really nice, and it retains that college basketball feel, but it has some modern amenities there. And, of course, I think the club seating, the sky seating is going to be the big thing for a lot of people. And that's just going to be another opportunity for dollars. So if you're not updating facilities, what are you doing? Just got this news flash in. Let's get into it right now. I don't know how many of you are experiencing trouble with television, trying to find your favorite game. Bally Sports channels, which were carried by Comcast, and I don't have Comcast, I have DirecTV, and I tried to watch a couple of channels, and it was fine yesterday for me, but Bally Sports channels, they have gone dark. Comcast and Diamond Sports Group, which is Bally's operator, failed to agree on a new contract. So if you're a baseball fan, if you don't have the baseball package, again, I don't know what your particular situation might be, but that's going to have an impact on a lot of teams. Now, Diamond Sports Group originally agreed to a 6-month extension with Comcast in the fall, but according to the report by ESPN, could not agree on a new multi-year contract. And so the deal expired on Tuesday night, and I don't have Comcast, so I didn't know this, but this just came out. Comcast has pulled Bally Sports channels. Now, Diamond Sports Group has deals with Charter and, as of right now, DirecTV, but Comcast is another big one. You have to have Comcast. Now they're in bankruptcy, and this might impact their ability to come out of bankruptcy. And that's going to impact a lot of your favorite sports teams. Here are the 12 teams that are going to be impacted by this. Minnesota Twins, St. Louis Cardinals, Atlanta Braves, Detroit Tigers, the Miami Marlins, the Cleveland Guardians, the Kansas City Royals, Cincinnati Reds, Los Angeles Angels, the Rangers, Tampa Bay Rays, and the Brewers. So all of these If you're a fan of one of these teams, I mean, Diamond Sports Group has the linear rights for these teams. And Comcast, depending on where you live, Comcast is either really prominent or they're in the market as well. Like, for example, if you're in the Southeast, Comcast is a little bit more prominent than if, say, you're in Southern California. So now it's on you, MLB, because MLB is unable to lift blackout restrictions through the streaming service. Because, again, the contract deal, you wonder sometimes, why does MLB black out these games? Well, it's because of the linear sports rights. They can put it on stream, but if someone has linear sports rights and you're trying to get that stream and that market, and now I would think, okay, I can't watch my team through cable, so how do I get that? Well, they're always going to say, well, look, if you can't get this channel, go get DirecTV. That's an important one for a lot of people, for DirecTV to have it still, because that is one of those arguments where, okay, we can't get it through the cable company. Well, if you really want this, you got to go get DirecTV. Well, I don't want to change providers. Well, you can't watch the games then. Why can't I just watch it on the streaming app since you're not providing it? It's not provided on this service. Well, again, because you can go get it here. I mean, that's one thing I like about the Center Ice package. I haven't had any problems just yet with the Center Ice package. Again, I'm on DirecTV. And one, it's super affordable. MLB could learn a thing or two. The NFL could learn a thing or two here. It's super affordable. And two, I get channels for, I mean, you get this as well if you're watching MLB, but I get the team I want, the broadcast I want, and I'm able to watch it. I don't have any problems. I don't think I've ever been blacked out. Even when a game was, say, on, if it was the Penguins broadcast, I want to watch the other team that's playing the Penguins or the Blue Jackets, I don't think I've been blacked out. Major League Baseball really needs to rework this, because if you can't depend on platforms like Comcast, and Comcast does not have to do business with Diamond Sports Group. There's nothing that says that, okay, they have to do business. It's just Diamond Sports Group and Comcast could not come to a business agreement, so Diamond loses out on the distribution platform that is Comcast, trying to leverage what it has as far as its product's concerned. And so it's going to leverage it elsewhere, and you're going to be in the cold. Basically, you're going to be shut out on one of these deals because of the way these broadcast rights are negotiated right now. Kind of crazy, don't you think? And it impacts pro sports as much, if not more than anything. When have you rarely been shut out of a college game? It's because those TV deals are better. If you're a Major League Baseball fan, if you're a baseball fan in general, you're pretty much shut out depending on what platform you have. And of course, I'm not advocating getting satellite over cable or anything like that. It's just, I'm fortunate I have this one. I had DirecTV. There are people on Dish Network that are out in the cold. It's because I have the platform that did business with the provider, and you don't. And so now you're in a situation where you don't have access to a lot of these games. And again, MLB not able to lift blackout restrictions. Now, NBA and NHL right now are fine because the leagues are in postseason play. So we've got national broadcast. So we're good there. How many people are going to pull Comcast because of this? How many people are just going to take the plunge finally and say, okay, I'm off Comcast? But what do? We talked about streaming being, here it is. This is the future. But yet, with more people going to streaming, now it's been so fragmented and so segmented that it almost feels like, hey, we had a pretty good thing going, didn't we, with satellite and cable? Didn't we? Satellite had it all right there. Well, cable had it all right there. But now more linear programming is going to streaming, and that's the difference, really. Netflix was, okay, I can watch movies on my computer. I can watch movies on my streaming stick now. That's cool. And then they came up with original programming. But we're talking about linear streaming of events. And so that's going to be detrimental. And Major League Baseball's had a problem for a long time anyway. I almost don't know how you put yourself in a position. I mean, when the NHL negotiated with ESPN, the center ice package that was on NHL TV, it went to ESPN Plus. And so if you have ESPN Plus, you can watch those games. You can watch a lot of those games with that product. If you have satellite, which I think is actually the better way to go for that, the package became so affordable because satellite was competing with the ESPN Plus package now. You don't want to pay this absorbent amount when you can pay a fraction on the streaming. So, okay, let's make it competitive for people who don't want the streaming platform. They want to watch it through their cable box or their satellite dish. It's been watching sports leagues and platform holders and content providers. It's been watching children shoot themselves in the foot over all of this. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter writes in and says, listen to games on the radio. It's a great product. Absolutely, it's a great product. And the funny thing is, and I appreciate that, thanks for the text. The funny thing is about that is, for me, and I might be showing my age just a little bit, but I prefer listening to a lot of games, especially a sport like baseball. I like listening to baseball on radio better sometimes than I do like watching it on TV. And maybe that's just me and how prominent baseball on radio was for a lot of people during a time where you could walk down the street and everybody had the game on. You could walk down the street and hear the game because people would sit on their porches and listen to the game. And I might be showing my age a little bit. I mean, those days are gone. Now I'm listening to it on my headphones, or I'm streaming it. I'm not sitting on the porch listening to the game. I'm sure some people still do, but there was a time where you could just walk down the street. Novel concept here, walking down the street. And you could listen to your favorite team because in the neighborhood you were growing up, baseball was still a big deal, and so everybody had the game on the radio. I mean, some neighborhoods more than others, but yeah, that was a real thing. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More coming up on this edition of The Drive. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Hey, it's Toby from Wendy's. Our new breakfast burrito is a fully loaded breakfast. I don't even know if I have enough time to tell you everything that's inside. 2 fresh cracked eggs, seasoned breakfast potatoes, 6 strips of bacon, cheese sauce, wrapped in a warm flour tortilla. Yes! Now, come and get it. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new breakfast burrito. Only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Southern Ohio Medical Center is inviting the community to Race for the Roses, a new event celebrating the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby, while also raising funds for SOMC Cancer Services. Race for the Roses is a Derby-themed fundraiser and watch party taking place at the Martings Building on May 4th. Participants are invited to show up in Derby attire, enjoy an afternoon with signature drinks, a Southern-style buffet, and games, not to mention a broadcast of the greatest 2 minutes in sports. For information, go to SOMC.org Derby Party.
This Kenner Communications Community Chatter brought to you by K&B Pest Control. They'll kill for your business.
Sunflower Seeds will host an I Run Walk for Ukraine 5K Saturday, May 18th at Ritter Park. It starts at 9 o'clock. Visit TriStateRacer.com to register. T-shirts, canvas bags, and other items, part of the $25 pre-registration fee. Sunflower Seeds Incorporated is a tri-state area nonprofit established to raise awareness and resources for humanitarian aid to Ukrainian refugees. 17 million Ukrainians are in need of aid, and most of the refugees are women and children who want to remain near their Ukrainian homeland. To date, Sunflower Seeds has raised $40,000 and over 13,000 pounds of food and medical supplies have been delivered across 6 trips to Poland and beyond. Again, to be part of this I Run Walk for Ukraine 5K May 18th at Ritter Park at 9 o'clock, visit TriStateRacer.com to register.
Imagine your team always looking and feeling their best in high-performance technical workwear. Cintas can make it happen. They have garments for almost every job imaginable. And with the Cintas Workwear program, you get freshly laundered garments delivered every week for everyone on your team. Great garments without the bother of laundry. That's a real perk for employees. Find out how Cintas can boost team image and morale. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Final segment of today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Plenty of time for you to get your text in, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter writes in talking about listening to baseball on the radio. Paul, names like Joe Nuxall, Bob Prince, Ernie Hartwell, Bob Uecker. That was great entertainment. Yeah, that's what made it special. You would tune in sometimes more for the personalities than you would the game. The game was sort of the vehicle for it because there were some terrible teams that these guys called. But Bob Uecker called some terrible teams. But you tuned in because it was Bob Uecker and he kept you entertained. So, yes, personalities do matter, and it helps. It helps when you have somebody who's really good at what they do, especially speaking on the radio for hours on end. Baseball announcers are some of the best in the business because they have to be more than just play-by-play announcers. They have to keep you entertained for hours, depending on how the game goes. Speaking of the transfer portal, we've been talking about that earlier. First off, let me back up. We found out yesterday, again, we didn't have a show yesterday, but we found out yesterday that another assistant coach has been added to Marshall coach Charles Huff's staff. And it's Henry Baker. He's going to be co-defensive coordinator and cornerbacks coach. He coached last season at Maryland, so nice pickup for Coach Huff to his staff. And then just a few minutes ago, we found out, according to Farrell Portal on X, Colorado transfer defensive lineman J.J. Hawkins committing to Marshall. So more movement in the transfer portal. And we're going to be seeing this for the next few days for sure. So more names coming. More names going probably. More names coming. Texter writes in and says, I stream the Herd games on my phone with volume down and listen to our home broadcast. Steve Cotton, Woody Woodrum, some of the best. I also miss hearing Sonny Randall and Keith Morehouse calling football games on TV. I miss Sonny Randall too, because he was a colorful personality. He might not have been the best football coach win record-wise, but the guy loved Marshall, and he's been a mainstay in the Marshall community for a long time, before his passing. And I do miss hearing Sonny Randall. He was I don't want to compare him to anyone, because I don't know if you can compare him to anyone, but he was very colorful. And wasn't that something back in the day, but when Marshall was moving into then Marshall University Stadium, there was a television network that was being built. And I know Dan Shoemaker had a lot to do with that. And it was on Channel 8 for a while. It was on WSAZ. So a guy like a Sonny Randall got a lot of play on TV. Dave Weekly called games. I know Mark Martin did sidelines, and you had Sonny Randall in the booth. And then you have someone like Keith Morehouse, who did games for years with Sonny Randall when the broadcasts were on WSAZ. And now that's kind of gone away because broadcasts are going to be on ESPN+. If it's not on terrestrial TV, I don't even know if there's even an option for that anymore. We had for a few years, what was the American Sports Network? I got to go back a little bit and think about this because it was terrible. It was on a lot of Sinclair television stations. It was like a sideband channel for sports. And yeah, some of the broadcasts were okay. Some of them were not so good. It's not a shot at anyone, but you tune in and you felt like, okay, yeah, these guys they're just churning through this stuff. I mean, you could probably say that for a lot of broadcasts on ESPN because, again, a lot of times you look at the broadcast on ESPN, the university has provided those announcers, and so if you're tuning into a game somewhere and Marshall's on the road, you don't know what you're going to get, to be honest with you. Depends on the level that the university has invested in those broadcasts. If you're Marshall, but you're fortunate. Marshall puts some effort into those broadcasts and tries to at least give you a good product. And, yeah, it was fun listening to Keith and Sonny call games. And, of course, Steve Cotton. Talk about a guy that has seen a lot of your childhood or your memories and has been the voice for all of that. And, of course, Woody with his institutional knowledge. He has definitely added a lot of flavor and color to Marshall athletics. And, of course, he was a one-time radio host on this radio station and a one-time co-host with me here on this radio station. And then he's got the worst retirement ever because he's retired, but yet I see him at everything, working. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow. We'll have a lot to get into. More action, I'm sure, from the transfer portal. We'll hopefully in the next week. Next week should be fun. I'm looking forward to next week. We've kind of had a short week here. Things are starting to wrap up, but with everything that's happening with women's basketball, hopefully with men's basketball as well as the transfer portal portion of it closes, but the recruitment part's still open. I'm hoping we have a lot more to talk about soon, not only with players, but with coaches. And, of course, we've got baseball soon, Colecats. So we're going to get into a lot of that here sooner than later. But thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you coming up tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Have a great night, everyone.
Retransmitting on Glorious FM on 94.1 W227BS Huntington. This is 930 WRVC Huntington, celebrating 100 years of broadcasting.